chapter, we will talk about speaking in Ielts. Speaking is very different from writing. Let me tell you a couple of facts about speaking, then we will focus on pattern. Ielts speaking is just a sort of interview, with the examiner, where you have to be a very natural speaker. You need to enhance your genuine, natural speaking skills rather cramming it. Many students read answers and then they plan speaking. This absolute idea is of no sense. Speaking in Ielts has 3 parts: part 1, part 2, and part 3. Why this test is conducted and what level of perfection is required, it is important to understand. We'll start with why the speaking test is conducted. Speaking is very different from writing. By conducting speaking exam, they really want to understand whether you have this not native accent, you have this native ease while speaking or not, how cool you are with your speaking. Do you really have to struggle while speaking in English, or it comes naturally to you? That is the reason I always ask all the candidates to build up your genuine skills and join classes where you have sheer atmosphere of learning and nobody is talking in Hindi. That's speaking is a very practical skill. That is how you need to plan it. So let us talk about pattern now. Part 1 comprises of a couple of questions which are based on your everyday life, such as where do you go, how do you commute, what do you eat, how many friends you have, all basic questions. So when it comes to part 1, I always want all the candidates to keep the answers very concise. Do not speak over descriptive answers, which means finish your answer in 4 lines. I'll give you an example a little later. So this is about part 1. 10 to 14 questions are asked in totality. Most of the time, examiner asks you maximum 8 to 9 questions, but since exam is very unpredictable, it can go up to 14. Part 2. In part 2, one topic is given to you. That one topic is known as cue card. So this cue card means one question is given and then sub points have been given to you. Sub points means that examiner really wants to see how beautifully you covered the relevant points given to you. For an example, if a question is given to you, talk about a person who is very good at business. So this is your main question, cue card question, and sub points are: name the person, why you think this person is good at business, what have you learned from this person. So you see, there are sub points given. I always suggest all my students, it is important to cover all the points. Sometimes you are a kind of speaker that you want to speak everything and you keep on speaking without even looking at what should be ideally covered. So what they look for is the question they have given to you, the examiner has given to you, how beautifully you have covered 3 given points. That's what the need is. Right after that, you have part 3. In part 3, first 4 or 5 questions will be in relevance of the second question. Let's say that what kind of funding a businessman requires. Okay, this could be the relevant question because you talked about businessman earlier. Second relevant question could be that, do you think that businessmen should pay more to the environmental damage such as industrialist? So you see, some questions are in relevance of part 2. There is no scope of cramming at all. You cannot cram anything. You cannot, okay, fine, let me prepare 10 answers and then again, only 10 questions will be asked that. No, there are some important questions we keep on updating on Telegram. You can ask for link, or maybe that anytime you have problem, you can WhatsApp us. We're always there to assist. But you see, you should be aware of what frequently asked questions are. But no one can tell you that how exactly you need to answer and the cram words, no? So this was pattern. Right after part 3, let me finish this thing. I told you 4 or 5 questions are in relevance of part 2 and rest 5 to 6 questions will be based on any other topic. Part 3, questions are lengthier than part 1 questions. Like, in part 3, they ask you argumentative questions like, why do you think, oh, do you really think, will this work? All counter questions. The examiner really wants to understand the psyche, the natural style of speaking. So let me give you an example quickly of speaking. We will start with part 1. I'll be speaking the question, then I'll answer. Just want to give you an idea. I never want my students to cram the answers. So let's go quickly on that. Talk about the city you live in. I am a hardcore Delhiite. I am born and brought up here only. The city is a political hub. The city has a lot of monuments. And you obviously name the city that I live in, Delhi, right? And which is the capital of India, which is, I'm not saying that you know this. And the city is a political hub. The city is known for all famous monuments such as this and this. And finish. You don't have to go for, the city is very nice, it was built in this era, and the city has a lot of political issues. Don't go, like so long. You just need to stick to very informative answer. Okay. Now, the next question could be, do you have friends? Yes, I have many friends. I like spending time with my friends. Do you think friends are supportive? Not always, but I am lucky that I have all supportive friends. Whenever I am in need, I always get a shoulder to cry, and they're very amicable and congenial. Okay, so what is more important according to you, friends or family? Well, if you ask me, two cannot be compared. Friends are important, they are of same age, and there are many things that you can share with your friends. But family's importance cannot be overlooked. When you are really in need of financial, emotional help, your family always stands first. In fact, before your friends. So I have never compared the two. You see how simple it was. You don't have to actually get into a lot of descriptive answers and something like that, and no cramming. Build up your genuine skill, and that is how it goes. And I always motivate candidates to speak in the class. Anyone who feels reluctant to speak, whether you speak good or bad, or maybe that very well, or you're a weak speaker, that doesn't matter. With the course of time, you add more from 2 lines to 4 lines, 4 lines to 6 lines. But if you really stop yourself to speak, that is a problem. Now let me discuss part 2. As I have mentioned, part 2 is all about a cue card. One topic is given to you. Let us try one sample answer, that what ease you need to maintain while speaking. So I was saying the topic was talk about a famous businessman, and your sub points are name the businessman, why you think that person is famous, have you learned something from that person or not. So you see, you have 3 sub points. Make sure one by one you cover all 3 points and speak. Do not speak very impulsively. Plan your speaking, go slow. You get no extra marks if you speak very fast. You need to speak fluent. So don't speak everything in one go. Pick one point and do not keep it very short also. Like, I think that my father is a very good businessman. No, what else you have to speak? Why? Because in exam you need to speak in cue card for 2 minutes. Make sure that you just plan that how one point can be stretched to half a minute, and second point again, and third point. That is how you complete your 2 minutes. So you need to see how you need to begin. Straight away, do not take that person's name. Always try to plan it. So I have always been in the company of businessmen. My grandfather, my father, his brothers, all have been businessmen. So I do admire them, the kind of efforts they put. I think I will not be taking any other name except my father. I find him a very good, laborious businessman. So you see, this was my first point. I did not say that just name the person. I said that I like my father. I cooked up some story and then again, go ahead with the point. Now let's say second point, how you need to go ahead. Why you think he's a famous man? Famous businessman. There are many qualities I admire. There is not one thing that I look up to. He came in this city, I would say that almost 80, 90 decades back. 80, I would say that. Rather his, I think my grandfather. So my father came along with my grandfather. So I think my father would have come almost 50 decades back. So when he came to this city, he had nothing in his hand. The kind of hard work he did, that he worked under a lot of people, and he polished his skills of being patient with people, and other skills such as that financial management, how to save money. And very soon he built his own shop of dairy products, and that time it was a very hard job for supplying things, and he supplied milk door to door. He never felt hesitant that, oh, he was a businessman, he was not supposed to do that. And within 5 years of span, he had this entire team of getting things done. And yes, he became famous, and then his supplies are I would say that are everywhere, outskirts of Delhi and all famous places one can think of. So this is this wouldn't have been possible if he hadn't been very consistent. This something really fascinates me the most about my father's business skills. Coming to the question, what I have learned from him, I think what not. I have learned a lot of things. I myself am a businesswoman, and these skills has certainly come from my father. He really taught me how to work in a team, how to be very soft spoken with people you are working with. Do not lose hope, and never have this give up attitude. A business woman or a man should always be should always have this attitude of being a go-getter, and this zeal I have learned from my father, and I always look up to him in case I am in any sort of problem related business. Thank you. So this is something cue card question ask you to go by, and covering all the points and everything. I'm sure you must have understood that how this cue card question is. And part 3 question I will discuss in some other class. So here let me just remind you what we have covered by now. We have covered the pattern of speaking, how many questions are asked in part 1. All the questions are listed on Telegram. Please duly listed with part 1 important questions. Kindly look at them. And part 2 is all about cue card question, where you have to speak for 2 minutes. Keep learning.